Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Donald Trump and Ukraine's Zelenskyy clash in an extraordinary exchange before the media at the White House over conflict in Ukraine. Zelenskyy returns without any deal with the US. World leaders react to the extraordinary Oval Office clash. European leaders, including EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen, Germany Chancellor and UK Prime Minister strongly back Zelenskyy, while Russia's foreign ministry says Trump showed restraint. United States announces approval of sale of more than $3 billion in munitions, bulldozers and related equipment to Israel. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends the next conclave in Delhi, highlights India's rising stature at the world stage. A tense and highly public Oval Office showdown between US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has sent shockwaves through international politics. What was meant to be a high-stakes diplomatic meeting quickly turned into an explosive confrontation, leaving US-Ukraine relations at crossroads. Here's how.
Diplomatic meeting turned into a political spectacle as Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy clashed in a fiery Oval Office showdown.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
The meeting, originally intended to coordinate a peace plan, quickly descended into chaos as Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance accused Zelenskyy of not being thankful and rejecting their truce proposal with Russia.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire.
In this entire meeting, you said thank you. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
In a heated exchange broadcast globally, Trump and Vance clashed with Zelenskyy, pushing him to accept a peace deal that required Ukraine to make compromises. Zelenskyy, however, pushed back, arguing that past peace efforts had failed to stop Russian aggression.
He occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him.
At one point, Vance interrupted Zelenskyy, calling him disrespectful, escalating tensions even further. The Ukrainian leader left shortly after the exchange, refusing to apologize for the chaotic meeting.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Later in an interview, Zelenskyy said that without US support, Ukraine would struggle to hold off Russian forces, underscoring the stakes of the conflict.
It will be difficult for us. That's why I'm here. That's why we speak about the future negotiations. It will be difficult without your support, but we can't lose.
Trump, however, doubled down on his criticism, saying Zelenskyy did not look like a man who wanted peace.
From his standpoint, I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. I saw it today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that, not for this country.
With US-Ukraine tensions at an all-time high, the Oval Office clash has raised serious questions about America's future role in the conflict and whether Ukraine can continue its fight without full US backing. With Nupur Sharma, Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
And the meeting between Trump and Zelensky was nothing short of dramatic. And AI is contributing a lot to this spat on social media. Still, European leaders are rallying behind. Ukrainian President Artirana has more.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position.
Explosive meeting between US President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to reverberate across the Atlantic.
We're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
But European nations have strongly reiterated their support for Ukraine, causing a deepening of transatlantic rift. The leaders of France, Germany and the European Union emphasize that Ukraine's fight is not just about its sovereignty, but about defending European security. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen voiced her unwavering support for Ukraine. EU President Kaja Kallas went a step further, declaring Ukraine is Europe and stating that free world needs a new leader, signaling frustration with Trump's stance. French President Emmanuel Macron called Russia the aggressor while claimed Ukraine a victim. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized his commitment to Ukraine while stating that Ukraine can rely on Germany and on Europe. Germany's new conservative leader, incoming Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who has said he seeks independence from the US. Similar support came from Sweden, Lithuania, France and the Czech Republic, all highlighting Ukraine's role in defending not just its own sovereignty, but also Europe's security. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who met with Trump recently, has yet to issue a statement, although the leader of UK's Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, expressed support for Ukraine. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese saying Canberra would continue to stand with Ukraine, though countries like Turkey and Italy have remained silent in the aftermath.
The people of Ukraine have suffered greatly in defence of their nation and their national sovereignty. And Russia has acted like a bully, a big country seeking to invade and to take over territory from another sovereign nation, in this case Ukraine. And like the rest of overwhelmingly countries around the world, we have stood with Ukraine and we will continue to do so.
In contrast, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a known ally of Trump, supported the former president's stance, adding fuel to the transatlantic rift. On the Russian side, former President Dmitry Medvedev did not hold back, mocking Zelensky and praising Trump's remarks, while claiming that American president was right to call the conflict a dangerous gamble. European leaders largely avoided mentioning Trump or Vance, focusing instead on reaffirming their support for Ukraine as its conflict with Russia enters year 4. The geopolitical divide is clear. The world watches closely as US and Europe continue to clash on how best to handle the crisis. Will this diplomatic rift have a lasting impact on global alliances? Only time can tell. Bureau Report, DD India. On to some other stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the NXT Conclave 2025 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi today. Speaking at the conclave, Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's rising global influence, stating that the world is eager to engage with India like never before. He also stated that India is becoming a reliable partner in global supply chain as its indigenous defense products are showcasing the power of Indian engineering and technology.
आज भारत न्यू फैक्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड बन रहा है। हम सिर्फ वर्कफोर्स नहीं, वर्ल्ड फोर्स बन रहे हैं। कभी हम जिन चीजों का इंपोर्ट करते थे, आज देश उनका इमर्जिंग एक्सपोर्ट हब बन रहा है। जो किसान कभी लोकल मार्केट तक ही सीमित था। आज उसकी फसल पूरी दुनिया के बाजारों तक पहुंच रही है। हमारे डिफेंस प्रोडक्ट्स दुनिया को भारतीय इंजीनियरिंग और टेक्नोलॉजी की ताकत दिखा रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi lauded India's Local for Global initiative.
वोकल फॉर लोकल एंड लोकल फॉर ग्लोबल का विजन देश के सामने रखा था। आज हम इस विजन को सच्चाई में बदलते हुए देख रहे हैं। आज हमारे यहां आयुष प्रोडक्ट्स और योग लोकल से ग्लोबल हो गए हैं। दुनिया में कहीं पर भी जाइए, कोई न कोई तो योग को जानने वाला मिलेगा ही। आज भारत के सुपरफूड हमारा मखाना लोकल से ग्लोबल हो रहा है।
A Dutch delegation from the field of semiconductors is visiting India on an innovation mission. India is setting important steps to become a global semiconductor hub. Mark Limburg is reporting from the Netherlands.
India is rapidly emerging as a key player in the global semiconductor industry. A Dutch trade delegation will travel to India to explore opportunities for collaboration in chip design, semiconductor equipment and innovation, but also to find out what makes this market so promising and what role Dutch companies can play in shaping the future of the semiconductor industry in India. We asked Maurice Gerards, CEO of one of the biggest players in the semiconductor industry, NXP.
NXP is indeed since 1993 active in India. We have thousands of engineers and they are excellent designers for chips. So they are an integral part of our global R&D system. And India is an integral part of our R&D system. So when NXP grows, we will grow in India.
This mission is being organized by the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs. But why is this mission so important?
We have in total more than 330 companies and research institutions in the field of semicon. And we feel this is the right time to have this innovation mission to India because of the huge investments that India is making in this sector. And we want to see where we can link up and collaborate together.
Collaboration in the broader sense of the word, because the Dutch Technical University of Eindhoven will join this mission.
We, as the technical university, we of course provide the talent pipeline. And we are global and we want people from all over the world to study here and then actually have a job here. Networking is extremely important and making contacts. And if you actually study together from the perspective of a technical university, you make these contacts for life and I'm sure you will meet each other in 10, 20 years later in this broad field of semicon.
But what are the thoughts of the ambassadors of both India and the Netherlands on Indian-Dutch cooperation?
The potential for cooperation in the business area is quite wide and it is not only limited to a few sectors, though sectors like water, agriculture, health are very important, but also our focus areas in semiconductors, in photonics, in quantum computing. So these are also other areas in which there is a lot of potential for cooperation.
Well, I think this mission is very important because at this moment in time, we're working on strengthening our already very good relationship with India. We're trying to conclude a strategic partnership between India and the Netherlands. And we have determined high-tech innovation and so also semiconductors as a very important element of that strategic partnership.
The mission will take from the Netherlands.
And still to come on this edition of TT India Live. UN chief says Israel-Hamas hostage deal and ceasefire must hold. South Sudan to replace army contingent in Upper Nile after clashes in the two regions. And world-renowned experts enjoy historic hydrogen bus ride from iconic Taj to Bharat Mandapam. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. The United States on Friday announced the approval of the sale of more than $3 billion in munitions, bulldozers and related equipment to Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed off on the sales of $2.04 billion in bomb bodies and warheads, another $675.7 million in other bomb bodies and guidance kits, and $295 million in bulldozers and related equipment. The U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency, DSCA, said the U.S. is committed to security of Israel and it is vital to U.S. national interest to assist Israel develop and maintain a strong and ready self-defense capability. The latest weapons transactions come after Washington approved the sales of more than $7.4 billion in bombs, missiles and related equipment to Israel earlier this month. An Israeli delegation returned from Cairo with no agreement on extending the Gaza ceasefire. Afterwards, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was due to hold consultations with security chiefs and ministers. Israel had sought to extend the 42-day truce agreed as a first stage in the ceasefire agreement through the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan, which begins this weekend. But Hamas wanted to move on to the negotiations over the second stage. The agreement reached last month halted 15 months of fighting, allowing the exchange of 33 Israeli hostages and 5 Thai for around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees, and was meant to lead to subsequent talks to build on the truce. Israeli officials have previously said Israel was ready to resume fighting in Gaza if all its remaining hostages are not returned. Egyptian and Qatari mediators asked for some time over the next few days to resolve the impasse over the ceasefire. Meanwhile, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that Israel-Hamas hostage deal and ceasefire must hold as talks in a second phase of agreement resumes in Cairo.
The ceasefire and hostage release deal must hold. The coming days are critical. The parties must spare no effort to avoid a breakdown of this deal. I urge them to uphold their commitments and implement all of them in full. All hostages must be released immediately and conditionally in a dignified manner. The parties must ensure humane treatment for all those held under their power, and all transfers must be carried out in a dignified way and as per the terms of the deal.
Moving on, a recent United Nations report highlighted that South Sudan's leaders are exacerbating violence and instability in the country. The report reveals that political and military elites are driving the ongoing violence, which is compounded by frequent clashes and political infighting. It condemns South Sudan's leaders for failing their people, highlighting serious human rights violations. The reports highlighted that despite South Sudan's government earning $3.5 billion between 2022 and 24, there has been little progress in rebuilding vital infrastructure and civil servants remain unpaid. Corruption continues to obstruct development, and despite the 2018 peace agreement ending the civil war, no significant improvements have been made. South Sudan's Minister of Information, Michael Makuei-Luet, announced the replacement of the army contingent in Upper Nile following clashes.
In Upper Nile and specifically in Nasser area. طبعا جيش بتاع ناصر ده they have stayed for long. And there had been a demand from the people of Nasser that these people should be replaced.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has completed the third review of Sri Lanka's 48-month extended fund facility, enabling an immediate disbursement of approximately $334 million. This brings the total IMF financial support for Sri Lanka to about $1.34 billion since the program's approval in March of 2023. While approving the third review, IMF commended Sri Lanka's strong performance under the program, noting that all quantitative targets for December last year were met, except for the indicative target on social spending. The IMF has also highlighted the necessity of finalizing bilateral agreements with creditors to advance debt restructuring efforts. The bilateral debt restructuring was coordinated by official creditor committee last year, led by India, Japan and France, and the restructuring team. After a prolonged dry spell and very less snowfall during peak winter months, Jammu and Kashmir has been witnessing moderate to heavy rains and snowfall. It not only ended the dry spell, but also brought down the precipitation deficit in the valley by more than 20%. With two more western disturbances approaching towards the valley, the deficit could further come down within next 2 weeks. Heavy snowfall and rains of the season has been experienced across Kashmir and Jammu region, besides many parts of Ladakh region during the past 24 hours. Over a dozen houses have been reportedly damaged in Ramban, Doda, Udhampur and Riyasi areas since last evening. 13 cattle perished due to lightning in Darhal and Khotaranka area of district Rajouri due to lightning on Friday. Meanwhile, the J&K Disaster Management Agency has also issued warning about avalanches in upper regions of Kashmir and Doda and Kishtwar districts of Jammu region. Renowned physicist Brian Greene is visiting India and experienced the future of clean mobility with hydrogen bus ride. Joined by global experts, he explores the immense opportunities that India holds in the hydrogen economy. Aligned with Prime Minister Modi's vision, the journey symbolizes India's push towards sustainability, innovation and green energy leadership on the world stage.
Well, there is a lot of talk about green hydrogen and how green hydrogen can change the dynamics of the game when it comes to other countries. I've got with me physicist Dr. Brian Greene to help us understand. Dr. Brian, how do you look at the future of transportation?
Well, look, we have to be able to transport ever larger number of citizens around ever larger cities. We've got to find a renewable energy source that allows us to do that cleanly, and hydrogen is a wonderful possibility. So I'm thrilled to see it being put into practice here in Delhi, and so far this bus ride has been wonderful, so it certainly is working.
Dr. Brian, India has got a national hydrogen mission that's into play that the Prime Minister has rolled. Do you see India having a potential to be the hub when it comes to hydrogen production?
Yeah, look, this country has as its greatest resource its people. You've got energetic, creative, smart, well-trained young scientists, and that's the way you can push technology forward. So is there a possibility for India to be the world leader in this technology? Absolutely.
So you've been a physicist. If there is one law of physics that you could change to bring hydrogen to the forefront, what would you do?
Well, look, if you're going to give me the option of changing the laws of physics, I'll change the conservation law of energy so we could perhaps create energy out of nothing. That would be the one I would change. But barring that, look, hydrogen as a fuel source is a real promising possibility. You have to be able to do that cleanly. You've got to be able to get that fuel source in a green way. And that's really the cutting edge. That's a challenge, and it's great to see work heading in that direction.
Okay. One final word, sir. When you look at hydrogen as the next alternative and no country being able to take the lead when it comes to be the leader, do you see the potential, a country like India, which has got large transportation network, to be able to capitalize on it and become the leader?
Yeah, look, you've got a great motivation to put this hydrogen fuel source into practice in the transportation realm. You've got large populations that got to move around your cities, and to be able to do that cleanly with hydrogen fuel is a great motivation, and clearly it's been pushing you forward, and it's a real possibility that you will be the world leader in putting this hydrogen fuel source to work.
Well, that's exactly the point. Putting hydrogen into practice is something that's a challenge, and I think India has taken the challenge and moving forward. This is Anil Thomas for DD India from New Delhi.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chaired the 49th Civil Accounts Day celebrations, the foundation day of the Indian Civil Accounts Service in New Delhi. A compendium on public financial management system titled Digitalization of Public Financial Management in India was also released during the event. It is a key IT platform for financial administration of the government, including payment, receipt, accounting, cash management and financial reporting. In her address, Minister Sitharaman hailed government's transparency and efficiency in managing schemes.
What better example can there be of cooperative federalism if only we recognize all 31 state treasuries and 40 lakh or over 40 lakh program implementing agencies. I'll repeat that. All 31 state treasuries and over 40 lakh program implementing agencies enabling unified financial management across states. Look at the dimension. Just look at the dimension of this. A country with over 140 billion population, a country which is the largest democracy, but yet has provincially elected governments. All their systems are integrated and managed by our friends here.
In sports, England won the toss and opted to bat first as they face South Africa in the final Group B clash of the Champions Trophy today. Afghanistan are still in the race for the final four. However, South Africa hold the advantage with a game in hand and a higher net run rate. A win against England will be enough for South Africa to qualify for the semis. On the other hand, England, who have been eliminated from the tournament, are looking to secure their first win. England arrive into their final group stage fixture on the back of skipper Josh Butler having stepped down as white ball captain. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan this QR code on your screens to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.